Hey basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your. The Warriors are leading the Houston Rockets in the playoffs and need just one win to advance to the Western Conference semifinals to face the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Warriors are facing some issues regarding player size. And for next season, a star could join Stephen Curry. Giannis Antetokounmpo is unhappy with the Bucks and bringing him to the Warriors. Antetokounmpo will have the conditions to be a champion soon. NBA rumors: Warriors want to make a deal with the Bucks for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Curry and Butler have become one of the most dangerous tandems in the entire NBA, as they've given the Warriors a puncher's chance at making a magical run to the 2025 NBA Finals as the number 7 seed in the Western Conference. While the team surely enjoys their current position, several tough decisions will need to be made in the coming months, especially with the impending restricted free agency of Golden State's Jonathan Kuminga. The 22-year-old forward may be on the move this summer, as he'll likely command a salary in the range of $20 to $25 million annually. The Warriors' general manager Mike Dunleavy could certainly opt to use Kuminga in a sign-and trade to bring in some win-now talents to help Curry and Butler make another deep postseason run. And recent reports indicate that the storied franchise may look to take a massive swing for the fences by negotiating a blockbuster deal with the Milwaukee Bucks centered around two-time league MVP and 2021 NBA Finals MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. There are 3 dark horse teams existing as possible suitors for Giannis should he decide to request a trade in the offseason, Clutch Point's Brett Siegel wrote Wednesday. The Golden State Warriors are first on the list, a team that has long pursued Antetokounmpo and has checked in on virtually every offseason. Even before finalizing a deal for Jimmy Butler this season, the Dubs checked in with the Bucks about their future with Giannis. The only way that Golden State could possibly be in the mix for Giannis without giving up Steph or Jimmy is if they did a sign-and-trade of Jonathan Kuminga in a package that also includes Draymond Green, Moses Moody, and a player like Tracy Jackson-Davis. In a hypothetical trade scenario, Siegel suggests that the Warriors could offer to send Milwaukee a package consisting of Kuminga, the 2017 Defensive Player of the Year and 4-time NBA champion Green, Moody and Jackson-Davis in a franchise-altering deal that would form a fearsome big three of Curry, Butler, and Antetokounmpo in the Bay. While a deal of this caliber remains highly unlikely, it's hard not to wonder about the level of desperation that the Warriors front office may feel with regard to building around Curry as he nears the twilight of his illustrious career. At just 30 years old, the legendary power forward and future Hall of Fame inductee Antetokounmpo authored one of his greatest seasons yet in 2024-25, as he contributed 30.4 points, 11.9 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 1.2 blocks and 0.9 steals for a 48-34 Bucks group that finished with the number 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. By prospectively pairing Curry and Antetokounmpo to create the league's most fearsome pick-and-roll duo, the Warriors would be positioned to compete for titles for the rest of Curry's career. Warriors look to close out Rockets in Game 6 at home. With 5:50 remaining in the third quarter and Golden State facing a 29-point deficit on Wednesday, Warriors coach Steve Kerr executed a wholesale substitution of all 5 starters and opted to sit his frontline players for the remainder of Game 5 in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. The Houston Rockets extended their lead by a basket later and withstood a fourth-quarter rally from the Warriors' reserves en route to a 131-116 victory that narrowed Golden State's lead in the best-of-7 series to 3-2 and forced Game 6 on Friday in San Francisco. The decision to punt on the result with nearly 18 minutes left to play was an interesting one. None of the Warriors' starters played more than 26 minutes in the loss, with Golden State preemptively shifting its focus to a second opportunity to close out the resilient, youthful Rockets. Obviously, it's not ideal to play that amount of minutes because if we're winning, you play way more, said Warriors forward Draymond Green, who logged just 18 minutes. But we, Kerr and the veterans, had a quick conversation, in the third, and he said, "I don't think we should chase it," and I said, "Cool. We'll give it 5 or 6 minutes and if we can't turn it, pull the plug." Beyond the hot start that enabled them to secure an 18-point lead in the first quarter, the Rockets put a stranglehold on Game 5 by capitalizing on their edge and athleticism. The Rockets ran early and often on offense and relentlessly pressured the Warriors on the defensive end. Houston showed flashes of those traits in Games 3 and 4, but sustained success had been elusive. It feels like we're getting more consistent recognition of what they're doing throughout the series as it goes on, Rockets coach Ime Udoka said. Trying to wear them down and taking away certain actions, and we did that. Try to make them make plays and not run their plays. If they have to beat us one-on-one, we feel that's to our advantage. The Warriors still hold an overwhelming edge in playoff experience. Golden State suffered a 39-point road loss to the Memphis Grizzlies in Game 5 of the 2022 Western Conference semifinal series, only to return to the Bay Area and eliminate the Grizzlies in the next game. Given that type of history, it came as no surprise that the Warriors didn't appear fazed by Wednesday's defeat. There's definitely something you can look back on as part of the journey, but that's all well and great to talk about, Warriors guard Stephen Curry said. You have to go do something about it on the court. We talked about our group trying to do this for the first time together, and I love that challenge because we have an opportunity to write our own story in how we bounce back. We've had a pretty resilient group over the last 2 months, and it has to show on Friday. Resilience was on the Rockets' side on Wednesday. For the second time in the series, youth was served. May not always get it right, and definitely far from perfect at times, but being able to bounce back and have a short-term memory is one of the best things about being a young team, said veteran Rockets guard Fred VanVleet, who scored a game-high 26 points. They don't necessarily know what's at stake all the time, so it could go good for you or it could go bad for you. We played some good basketball in this series. The margin for error is so small that you don't want to get carried away when you fall short. You've got to bounce back. History shows Warriors shouldn't be alarmed by Game 5 blowout loss. Going into the night holding a 3-1 series lead, the Golden State Warriors suffered an embarrassing blowout loss on the road to Dillon Brooks' team Thursday. But it's not too alarming. The last time it happened, the Warriors went on to win the title. Golden State lost to the Houston Rockets in Game 5, 131-116. The Rockets led by as many as 31 points in the third quarter, and the Warriors pulled their starters with 18 minutes left to play. It was reminiscent of Game 5 of their second-round series in 2022, when the Memphis Grizzlies led by 55 points in the third quarter and beat the Warriors, 134-95. In both games, the Warriors got shellacked early and couldn't stop turning the ball over, then pulled their starters. Draymond Green threw in the towel early in 2022, or more accurately, waved a towel while dancing on the sidelines when the Warriors were down 46 in the fourth quarter. What happened next? The Warriors returned home and took care of business. They defeated the Grizzlies, 110-96, as Klay Thompson scored 30 points and Steph Curry went for 29. Golden State advanced to the Western Conference Finals and eventually won the title, going 9-3 after the rout. This series has a number of similarities to 2022. The Warriors gave up extremely early in each Game 5, opting to wave the white flag and rest their veterans. The opposing team had Dillon Brooks and Steven Adams, now members of the Rockets. Green got into early trouble for flagrant fouls in the series, but behaved himself the rest of the way. The biggest difference is that the Warriors dominated the glass in Game 6 with Kevin Looney grabbing 22 rebounds in the closeout game. The undersized Warriors are going to have to win a different way against Adams and company this season. But the Warriors have still only lost one Western Conference playoff series since 2014-15. They looked terrible in Game 5, but Steve Kerr's teams have a way of bouncing back from even the ugliest losses to survive and advance. Stephen Curry gets candid about injury after Warriors' Game 5 loss to Rockets. The Golden State Warriors are going to have to wait another game to try and close out their first-round playoff series against the Houston Rockets. Going up against the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, the Warriors were unable to win the series in 5 games, suffering a blowout Game 5 loss in Houston. In fact, the Rockets got such a large lead early enough in the game that the Warriors rested their starters for the majority of the second half. While a blowout loss in the playoffs is never good, Golden State got a chance to rest its best players ahead of a pivotal Game 6 in the Bay Area. The last thing the Warriors want is to have to hit the road for Game 7 after once holding a 3-1 series lead. Given the injury Jimmy Butler suffered in Game 2, the added rest in the second half of the recent game could prove beneficial. He's not the only Warriors star dealing with an injury, though. Stephen Curry has an evident thumb injury on his shooting hand. Curry gets candid about injury. After the loss, Curry was asked about his thumb injury given that it's incredibly swollen and has been hurt for quite some time. "I don't even know how to answer it," Curry said after a question about his thumb injury. "Something you are dealing with and keep it moving." There has been some outrage particularly from Warriors head coach Steve Kerr about the Rockets targeting Curry's thumb on his jump shots and throughout the game. Houston knows Curry is the absolute best player in the entire series, and handicapping him however they can is their best way to take down Golden State in the series. The two sides play in San Francisco for a Game 6 that could see the Warriors advance, as the winner of the series will take on the number 6-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves. Steve Kerr reveals Draymond Green made key halftime decision amid Warriors' blowout loss. The Golden State Warriors had an ample opportunity to clinch their first-round playoff series against the Houston Rockets on Wednesday night. Things didn't go as planned, as the Rockets raced out to a commanding early lead. The Warriors led early after a pair of made baskets from Draymond Green, but the Rockets quickly put together a 15-0 run over the next 3 minutes. After one quarter of play, the Warriors were down 14. The second quarter was almost as bad as the Warriors went into halftime down 76-49. Steve Kerr reveals key Draymond Green decision. "There's not much you can say to a team down as much as the Warriors were. The Rockets looked like the more determined team and it showed," something head coach Steve Kerr admitted after the game. "I didn't have them ready to play clearly," Kerr said. "We can't come out with that lack of defensive focus and energy and expect to beat a great team on their home floor in a closeout game. They took it to us. They were awesome tonight, and we have to be better." Kerr also revealed a conversation that took place between him and Green during the halftime break. "I wasn't going to chase this game with Game 6 coming up in 48 hours, Kerr said. "I talked to Draymond, I said, 'What do you think?' He said 5 minutes, so we gave the starting group the first 5 or 6 minutes. Unless we had made a huge run, we kind of had it in mind we would pull the plug." The Warriors made a run midway through the fourth quarter and cut the deficit to 13, but Kerr elected to keep the starters on the bench. With the series now 3-2, the Warriors will head back to the Chase Center to host Game 6 on Friday night. Stephen Curry makes blunt demand to refs on Rockets targeting injury. It doesn't sound like the thumb is bothering Stephen Curry, but he wants to make sure that the refs are calling the game correctly. The Houston Rockets found a way to fight off the Golden State Warriors on Wednesday night to avoid elimination. The Warriors came into the game with a 3-1 series lead, and a win would have sent them into the next round of the NBA playoffs. Instead, the Rockets dominated from start to finish, and there will now be a Game 6 back in California. Of course, the game came with some controversy, and one of the biggest talking points was Stephen Curry and his injured thumb. A photo went viral of Stephen Curry before Game 5 because of how his thumb looked. It clearly isn't normal right now, but it isn't affecting his game. However, there have been claims that players on the Rockets, specifically Dillon Brooks, are targeting that injured thumb. Curry has talked about the thumb injury to the media, and he has been asked about the Rockets targeting it. He hasn't seemed too worried about it, but he wants to make sure that the refs are aware and calling the game correctly. "You don't think about it, and if it's a foul, they should call it," Curry said, according to a video from 95.7 The Game. "That's it. If it's a foul, they should call it." Related Golden State Warriors news article continues below. Dillon Brooks was also asked about the targeting after Game 5. He was accused of going after Curry's thumb on the broadcast. "I've been playing the game. If I had an injured ankle, I would attack that ankle every single time," Brooks said after the game. "So whatever they're saying on the broadcast, they can keep saying it." Stephen Curry's thumb injury and the way that the Rockets defend him will certainly be a big topic of conversation during the final stages of this series. With the win on Wednesday,